Hey everyone, another mailbag here on the Baseball America YouTube channel. We're here joined by Carlos Collazo, our draft writer, who's been covering the draft for years for us now. And we're kind of going through a lot of these questions that we got. Good questions we got about our top 100. If you haven't checked out our top 100 videos, I will link them here. You can see them depending on what device you're watching this on YouTube. But got some really good questions, but one of them is absolutely tailor-made for Carlos. Thank you for joining us, Carlos. But the question is this: if 2025 draftees were eligible for the current top 100 prospects list, who would crack the list besides the obvious? Now, I'm going to start with lop off the last part of that. We're going to, for our viewers, we're not going to treat anyone as obvious. I would say that if you read Baseball America for Baseball America subscriber, I would say that Ethan Holiday is an example of one that would count as obvious. But start with like ballpark of how many players do you think are top 100 prospect rankable right now?
Yeah, great question and good timing because I'm currently in the process of updating our draft list before we get started with the season, putting on BA grades. And the BA grades really allow us to have a lot more confidence in kind of how these players would line up. And I would say right now, there are 5 players who I would say confidently would fit on a top 100 if the draft happened today and these players were in affiliated ball. And those are all the players who are going to rank top 5 on our updated list in no particular order, because I think you could probably argue this order if you wanted. But Jace Laviolette, Texas A&M outfielder. Ethan Holiday, obviously the son of Matt Holiday, younger brother of Jackson Holiday, shortstop and left-handed hitter with huge hit power combo. Tyler Bremner, a right-handed pitcher at UC Santa Barbara. Jamie Arnold, a left-handed pitcher at Florida State. And then Seth Hernandez, who's a right-handed pitcher out of high school in Corona, California. I think those 5 are all the players I would say with confidence. They would all immediately join the top 100. They have grades that fit with our top 100 prospects right now. They have grades that I would expect all of them could improve this year, and that maybe gets into the more interesting conversation. I think there's a pretty large tier after this group of 5. I'm expecting the list to be longer on draft day after a full spring season than 5 players, but it's just right now to say who beyond that group with confidence would be on the top 100. I have enough question marks that still need to be answered that I would just say those 5 are probably the safe 100s at this point, if that makes sense.
Right. We have 11 11 draftees, not college draftees, 11 draftees from last year's draft on our current top 100 when we rolled it out. That's kind of a normal range, 11, 12, 13 on a really good draft year. So we would expect that we kind of get to that. But the key point, like if we're rewinding the clock a year, at this time last year, I would say that we felt pretty comfortable that JJ Weatherholt and Travis Bazana were probably going to crack the 100 at some point, somewhere on there. But there weren't a lot of other guys who we were like slam dunks. This guy's going to be a top 100. Some of the guys who did make it, I would say, Carlos, at this time last year, were probably in that second tier of guys. You're like, hey, this guy could make it with a good year. Is that kind of how you perceive it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 2 of the most obvious players I think fit into that bucket would be the top pitchers in last year's class. Chase Burns out of Wake Forest, who was drafted by the Reds with the second overall pick, and then Hagen Smith, left-handed pitcher who dominated the SEC. Both of these players we had in the middle of the first round entering the year, but they had pretty big reliever questions, especially for pitchers who were at that time the top pitchers in the class. Both Tyler Bremner and Jamie Arnold, who are top ranked college pitchers in this year's class, are in a different area of the first round at this stage. And I think a big part of that is just because of the confidence that the industry has in their ability to start. These are pitchers that we have multiple plus grades on just in terms of stuff, and then above average or better control grades. I think that control piece is really the question that both Burns and Smith had entering the year, and they answered those questions in tremendous fashion. They started the full season. They pitched deep into games. They took Hagen Smith, improved his delivery, improved the command. His stuff even got a little bit better. So there are players in the middle of this first round who I could easily see moving up into this range. Cam Canarella is right outside of this tier. He's one of the better pure hitters in the class. If he shows a little bit more strength and is just fully healthy, he has the profile that could easily fit as an immediate top 100 ad. A guy like Dean Curley at Tennessee, he is a really well-rounded shortstop. If he continues to hit in his second season with Tennessee, shows power, shows a left side of the infield profile, he could be on there. Luke Stevenson at North Carolina is a catcher who right now I've got him right in the middle of the first round. He's a guy who has a really well-rounded profile as well, can catch, can throw, can hit for power. these are a couple of examples of players who could move up the list. I think next year's class, or the 2025 class, I guess we're in that year now, so it's not really next year. But what stands out to me at this point is the depth is really strong. I think there are some questions about what is the top of the draft impact. We don't have the same sort of pure hitters that we had a year ago, like a JJ Weatherholt, like a Travis Bazana, like a Nick Kurtz. Even I don't think there's a player who has the sort of contact ability, um, plate discipline, and power that Kurtz has all in one package. Now, Jace Laviolette, who tops the class for us, probably has the most unique blend of athleticism and physicality, and it just raw tools. But he also just swings and misses a little bit more often. Again, I think he's already in that top 100 range. But from the number one player on our board down, there's a lot of improvement that these players can make. There are questions they're going to need to answer. There's still development to be had. So I would expect a lot of movement on this board as we see what happens this spring, which is the case every draft year.
Right. The other thing I think we would say also right now is it's a very solid top of the board, but it's not one of those years. The year that I always go back to, the year that you and I, just sit there reminiscing about over and over is this. But like there was the year we had Bobby Witt Jr. and Adley Rushman at the top of the draft. And those were guys, when you talk about guys with those tools at absolutely premium positions, you put it all together and you say, these are guys who they're going to step in the top 10, top 15, probably. We didn't see that this past year because the guys we have at the top of the draft were guys who were good, but they're not, multiple guys in the top 50. But you don't often see guys who kind of step in and they step right into that, or they're perceived. We expect them to step right in the top 15 kind of range. I don't think that that's probably the case again this year right now. We could, as you said, we could see guys do that. Although some of the guys that we're talking about, more of the pitchers in some ways, and those are harder to see those guys stepping right into because the durability issue, the questions about that. Seth Hernandez is a great high school pitching prospect. Just can't see us taking a prep pitching prospect and saying, I don't care if he has the best season we've seen in years, slotting that guy into the top 15 next year. Probably not. Like you have to see them do it in the minors, in the pro baseball, some to a level before you can put a pitcher that high.
Yeah, Seth Hernandez has this strange combination of perhaps the best overall upside in this class and also coming from maybe the riskiest demographic and the demographic that scares us the most. Because I do think at this stage, he's probably the best high school pitcher coming out of the draft since Dylan Lesko. And Dylan Lesko should ring a few bells for people because his career has not gone as planned. It is painful to me because I loved Lesko so much. He was such a complete high school pitcher. Seth Hernandez has the same great body. He's got the same easy plus fastball. He's already in the mid to upper 90s now. He's got a changeup that maybe is a double plus pitch. Some scouts are already comparing it to Lesko's changeup pre-draft. He's got two quality breaking balls as well. He's highly athletic. He's a multi-position player in high school. He has all the ingredients that you want to see for a high school pitcher to go inside the top five. Like he's got a chance to match Jackson Job's draft capital where he went a few years ago to the Tigers 3 overall. He's got a chance to go in that range, but even if he does have a great season, does everything we expect, I would imagine, unless the top 100 list just gets completely obliterated with injuries or promotions, it's just really bad, it would be very tough to see me arguing for a guy like Hernandez to go inside that top 10, top 15 range immediately, like you said, without proving it in pro ball at some capacity. I think if Jace Laviolette adds the sort of contact, he could be a guy who maybe fits in that range because on a tools and athletic perspective, like he's a plus runner. He's got 70 grade raw power. He can play center field and play it pretty well. If not, he can play corner at a really high level. He walks a ton. His production at Texas A&M has been tremendous. So if he's a guy who improves his bat to ball skills, maybe he's the candidate to do that. But yeah, it is hard right now to look and see like there is a top 10, top 15 prospect in all of baseball in this class currently.
So we see 5 right now slot right in. We're sure that there'll probably be another 5 plus who earn their way into that by what they do this year. Maybe we'll see one of those 5 that we think right now slide out. That also can happen. It's going to be fun to watch. That's why you go to baseballamerica.com. Check it out. We're going to be updating, I said, as Carlos said, our draft ranking shortly. We've got updated top 100. We've got updated top 30s. We've got college rankings as well, college preview. Everything you want, baseballamerica.com. Check it out.